Hey friends, welcome to your Good Life Now podcast. I am Frankie Martinez, and we are in an amazing series talking about family, parenting, all the good stuff that will make a strong family in your home. And I am joined by the one and only on this series, my wife, Maria Martinez, is here every week with me. So say hi, Maria.
Hello.
And have you guys been enjoying having Maria on the podcast? I've been getting some great feedback. So you are a hit, honey. You're pretty popular right now on the podcast, but it's great. That's why you are here, because you have a lot of great things to say and input. And I love our conversations we are having to share about what we are passionate about, family, building strong families and stuff like that. So here we go. So we are kind of continuing where we left off last week.
Yes.
We are talking about the greatest advice I've ever received, which instead of making it sound like super dramatic, it's actually very influential in my life. And I'm sure your life too, right? Would you say that? Or is it the quote?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's a very influential quote. It's become more than a quote. It's become a core value and belief in our home. And it's rules without relationship lead to rebellion. If you didn't hear last week's episode, go back and check it out, because we're kind of continuing, but you can feel free to listen right now, because we are going to start the rules without relationship teen edition. So we talked a little bit about it last week and how it's so important to build relationship with your kids when they're younger, when they're small. But anyone who's even got close to having a teen, close to those teen years, when your kids are around 12, you can start
feeling it.
You start smelling,
and you feel it right in the heart.
There's something brewing. I mean, not speaking negative, because you know that song, I see a bad moon rise. That's a little too negative, but because the funny thing is, like you said in the last episode, we were always super optimistic and positive that if we really spend time pouring into our kids in the younger years, we're gonna skip the horrible teen years.
Yeah. And it was kind of like, I think for me, with, you know, every mom can relate to this. Okay. So when you're pregnant with your first baby and people are like, oh my gosh, say goodbye to restful nights. You're going to be sleepless nights. And oh my gosh, you're going to be tired. And they just give you all these like bad things to look forward to. Right. Yeah. So the same thing with the teen years, exactly. You know, as your kids are approaching, oh, they're so cute. But oh my gosh.
Wait till they're teens.
The teen years. And you hear that. And I'm like, not us. We're not going to go through that. You know what I mean? It was kind of like me thinking I was going to have a, pain-free labor, with my first one. I'm like, yeah, sure. What is that thing called?
We don't need an epidural or with a what?
Yeah, I forgot what that thing called, where they believe in the pain-free. And I was like, that's not happening for me. I was in the middle of labor. So I called for my epidural eventually. And so same thing with the teen years, you know. You go in very hopeful.
Yes, optimistic.
Very optimistic.
Especially if you built a good foundation. You're like, oh, our foundation's going to stand the test of time. And
you go in and you're just like, we got this, hon. And we feel like we're just high-fiving our way through the teen tunnel. And then, boom, you just get tackled, right?
Well,
out of nowhere.
And it reminds me of the verse in the Bible. It says, Jesus said, whether your house is built on the sand or the rock, the rain still comes.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, as we're talking about it, just right now, I'm thinking about it as you're talking, and I realize, why are the teen years inevitable? Why? And the reason why it's inevitable isn't because your kids are bad or because you're a bad parent. I believe the teen years are inevitable because your kids are changing.
Yes, they're going through things.
Their
body is changing, which affects their emotion, their
self, their identity, who they are. That's what makes the teen years hard, is that this child that used to just play and, you could bring them a cupcake and they're on the top of the world, or bring them a balloon and life is good. And now they're amongst their peers. Peer pressure is real. They're trying to fit in. They're trying to find their place. They're trying to say, where do I...
used to just believe every word you said.
Yeah. And so here our kids go from the innocence of being a child to having to get awakened to, in a sense, the real world and realize, where do I fit? Who am I? Where do I belong? And that's not an easy process. No. I mean, think about as an adult, when you have a career shift, when you have a job change, when you have
a life change,
a major life transition
from single to married, from married to a parent. I mean, those are things that change.
Any major life change is super stressful and hard as a parent. And even as an adult, when you go through those life changes, what's the challenge? Your identity. Well, who am I now? Now that I'm, maybe unfortunately you had a divorce. Well, now you go through this thing. So now you're finding your identity again. Well, the thing is, all these life changes, whether it's marriage status, a career, moving, a family member passing away, moving out of the state, all these major life changes, try to remember how you felt during those life changes. And that's what your teen is going through.
But at the same time, they're not adults.
Yes.
So they don't know how to control, certain emotions.
Yes.
They don't know, I can actually go through this without attitude or without crying or without anger. Like, they don't know that yet. They're learning, I can control these things.
Very good point.
So that's what makes it chaotic at times.
Yes, very good point, because like I'm listening, I'm like, okay, how can I relate? And I'm like, it's a major life change. That's what it would be like for a teen. But like you just pointed out, yes, it's a major life change. But as a teen, you're not mature enough to learn how to handle certain things or deal with yourself. So that's the big chaos of the teen years. And it takes patience, a lot of patience. And faith. It takes faith, knowing that one day the seeds you're sowing are gonna pay off. And so they're definitely challenging and rough. And I think we wanted to talk about it. We could talk about this for more than one episode. This is like a 17 episode topic. Yeah. So we're just gonna share a few things.
But we just want to give you hope.
Yeah.
To that they could go smoother than you anticipate, and you could bounce back quicker from any bump in the road that the teenage years can try to give you if you make sure you build that relationship.
Yes, that's the foundation. So that's what we're going to just talk today and share a few topics and on our heart today. And if there's other things that you wish we would have talked about or have questions about, please, we would love for you to reach out to us. Send us a DM on any of our social media accounts. You can email us at yourgoodlifenow@yahoo.com and let us know, because like I said, there's so many topics that we don't know exactly which ones you would like to hear. We're just sharing off the top of our head and what's on our heart and hoping that it hits where you are at. But if you need something else, just reach out and we would love to discuss it and share it. And like I said, we have a few cool guests coming up soon, and maybe we can get their opinions and insights as well. But as we're talking about the teen years, the best thing that we discovered is to build that relationship with them when they're younger, so that it'll create a strong foundation and relationship, so that when they're going through the teen years, you have that relationship already established. When your child is a teen, you need to have that relationship already established. If you don't have it already established, it's not impossible. You just got to work double time. It's hard enough as it is when you have it established. But if you didn't establish that strong relationship when they were younger, even from 5 to 10, then if you didn't build that confidence and strength and relationship and value in them, then it's going to be a lot harder, but it still can happen. You just got to double down. You got to work a little harder. And is it worth it? Yes, it is. It's always worth it for you kids. But I think that even though we did build that relationship in our kids, there were times when we hit the teen years that it felt like, did it not do anything, you know, because it's hard. And especially during our first, you know, teen, because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to do. We just, like you said, we were super optimistic. It's just going to be a breeze. And then our first teenager, we're like, oh my gosh, it's not a breeze, you know? And then our second, we got a little better. And now we're working on our third. And I'm like, oh, we're here again. Oh, one more to go. So, but it's good. It's good. And we've survived it. And I know we're going to get through this next one.
Survived it. We thrived through it.
We did.
We grew through it.
We're thriving now.
Yes.
But there, you know, so basically, I don't know. I mean, I think to help give insight or help in that season now, I mean, there were times in our life as we were, okay, put it this way. If I were to give you one tip to get through the tough teen years, as a parent, is you got to press in. This is not a time for you to step back.
Which is, I think, the biggest problem is that this is where a lot of problems happen. And actually, a lot of teens get into trouble because parents think they need their space and I'm going to step back and just let them figure it out. This is not the time to do that.
No.
Because they are not mentally or emotionally at that level to make these decisions that could potentially, you know,
change their whole life.
Yeah, damage their life or just give them, you know, not good experiences and that could shape their future negatively, you know, in you know, in the days to come, in the years to come. So this is not the time to shrink back, step back.
You got to press in.
You have to press in.
That's the biggest tip we can leave
confidently.
You have to press in. And what we mean by press in is you need to fight for your teen. You have to fight for your teen. Because you know what happens? All the lovey-dovey time you had with your child, and now they're going through an identity crisis and they're blaming you and telling you everything. Guess what? That hurts. It breaks your freaking heart. It does. It breaks your heart as a parent to experience things, you know, or even hear things that your kids would say or moods or attitude, whatever your child does. My
mom, and I consider myself to be a really great kid, right, Mom? I felt like I was overall a great kid, but even still, like she reminds me, I remember when you were a teenager and I would tell you no, because she was a very good, strict mom. I thank God for her strictness, you know, her boundaries. She told me no, even though I wanted to do it because all my friends were going or whatever. I thank God she would always say no because she knew she was doing the right thing. But was I happy about it? No. I wasn't like, Mom, you're right. You know best. Yeah. You know, let's go have an ice cream. No, I was upset. I went to my room. I'd be giving her the silent treatment. Like I wasn't the yell back kid or the, you know, arguing, but I was the type like, fine. I would go to my room and I would just stay there the whole night. And she was like, I would be so sad because you'd just be giving me the silent treatment. And, you know, it's like, you don't think about it back then, but, you know, that was, you know, each child has their way. And it hurt her, you know, but I was just like, you know.
And be honest, as teens, we knew it hurt. That's why we did it. Because the only thing we could do to get back at our parents, because they're not giving us what we want.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, we are not just talking about the teen years experience that we had with our kids, but we've been youth pastors in 3 different churches, and we have walked parents through the roughest times of their teens. We've dealt with suicidal teens, teens running away from home, teens leaving and getting pregnant, teens getting in fight and running away. We've dealt with it all. And so we know as a teen, with our experience of not just raising our kids, but in 3 different churches, 3 different groups of teens and parents that we work closely with to help their kids get through those hardships. And I'm telling you, it hurts and it breaks the parents' hearts. We had parents calling us at midnight crying, telling us what's going on with their kids. And we reach out to their kids and thank God most of those situations, God stepped in and resolved them in a positive way. So we're very grateful for that. But I'm telling you, the number one thing that we've seen for success in the teen years is you have to press in and fight for your teens. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean by fight for your teens and pressing in. There was a time in my life when we just got awakened to the beautiful teen years, and we thought we were getting, it took a couple the first couple years as a teen, we got this is good. Then that little awakening happened. And so that was a rough patch, So literally our oldest, which, she's a great child. We love her so much. She loves us. And she's probably not going to hear this, so she's okay. I don't know. Maybe she might. She's a great kid. But she's an amazing. But obviously, she was a teen. And she was going through her teen years. And there was a time when I think I can remember the teen years at its peak. And I remember vividly, I remember this one moment. And this was a decision. You remember these moments. I remember driving to work. I literally can see the job site I was at. I know the job where I was. I see the house. I know exactly where it was. I remember driving to work this morning. And I literally am sitting in my truck and I just start crying. I don't even get down. I'm supposed to be working, but I just can't get down. Mm-hmm. And I start crying and I pray and I cry out to God. And because all the years I spent building a relationship with my daughter, and we were hitting this hard season in our relationship where I literally felt, I remember saying this. I'm in my truck with tears in my eyes. I'm crying out to God. And I said, God, you need to help me because I feel like I'm losing her. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't mean losing her like she was going to run away. I meant losing the connection. I meant I feel like I'm losing my connection. I've been very intentional to be a strong father, a good father. Mm-hmm. That I know children need the voice of a father in their life. Mm-hmm. And so that was my dream and goal, to be this voice and to always be there, not overpowering. I know they need to make their decisions, but I've always wanted to be there for guidance, to support, that they always know they could lean on me. And you always know
you can have a talk with them.
Yes.
You can always, they'd always be open to your advice, whether they took it or not.
Yes.
You knew you can have that conversation.
So, and I'm crying in my truck and I'm just saying, God, I feel like I'm losing her. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know how else to reach her. The old things don't work anymore. Mm-hmm. The things I used to do don't work. She's at this stage where, taking her to Disneyland just doesn't cut it. Mm-hmm. She's happy there, but when we get home, it's my connection, my relationship, the open communication is gone. So I said, God, what do I do? I feel like I'm losing her. Mm-hmm. And God said, you need to fight for her. You need to press in. And I'm like, God, I'm having this conversation with myself in the truck. It looks like I'm me and God, but people are like, what is this guy crying in his truck? I'm trying not to no one see me. And so it was at that moment, I made a decision that I wasn't going to step back. If you are in that situation as a parent and you're facing those rough teen years, maybe that's where you're at today. Mm-hmm. It hurts, it's hard, and everything inside you wants to step back. And your excuse, your cop-out is to give them space. Mm-hmm. But in reality, you're afraid of pressing in because it's going to hurt more, and you're afraid of not knowing how to handle it, not knowing
how to connect.
Mm-hmm. But you've got to press in and you got to fight. So that's the decision I made that day. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's it. No, I'm not going to let my relationship slip. Mm-hmm. I'm going to press in. Mm-hmm. And so I did. And so you know what helped me? Mm-hmm. That one saying that we shared last week, rules without relationship lead to rebellion. Mm-hmm. That came back to me. Mm-hmm. I read this before she was born. Mm-hmm. So here she is, like, I don't know, maybe 15 years later. Mm-hmm. This saying comes back to me. Rules without relationship lead to rebellion. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to strengthen my relationship with her so that I don't lose that. And she can hear me again, and we can hear each other again and have this bond. So what I did is I made that decision to do that with both of my daughters at that time, because then the other one hit 13 years, so I needed to do it. And it's been there for all of our kids. But what I did,
I remember.
What's that?
That you told her when you said, "What do you want to do? If you could do anything, what do you want to do?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you share that?
Yeah, you told you just approached her and you're like, "Oh, it's our night, or whatever. So what do you want to do?"
Yeah.
Because normally you would be like, "I'm going to take you here. I'm going to do this." Yeah. What do you want to do? And she's like, "I want to go shopping." And you're like, "Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go shopping."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What?"
Yeah. So that's the thing. So that's the trick. You want to know how to fight? God really showed me how to fight. God said, you need to fight for your teen. You don't fight. Like, okay, I'm going to fight, but how do I do this? And what I realized is rules for that relationship lead to rebellion. So I need to build that relationship with her. But you need to build a relationship with your teen by what they want to do, not by what you want to do. Because you as a parent, you always have, I don't know, there's always the dad who works on cars and wants his son to get into cars with him. But guess what? If your kid's not into cars, well, he don't get into cars, so we're not going to spend time. No. That's you're making a mistake right there. You have to get into what they're into. You don't force your kids to
what interests them.
You don't force your kids to get into what you want to get into, because then it's not serving them, it's serving you. It's convenient for you. Well, I love guitar, so Cynthia, let's go to a rock show. You know what I mean? No, it's like, what do you want to do? And I remember I did that with both of our kids. So with Cynthia, she wanted to go shopping, so fine. We go shopping and we go do this thing. And what really broke through with both of our daughters was me taking them to concerts, because I had to fight to find what they were into, what they wanted. And so guess what? And it's so funny because I just heard a podcast maybe 2 weeks ago. It was an audiobook I was reading of Tony Robbins, I believe. And he was sharing a story of a similar situation with his teenage daughter. But of course, he was Tony Robbins, so he was like super rich. So you know what he did? And it's funny because no. This is going to be cool because I think I blew Tony Robbins out the water.
Okay.
Don't tell him that. But anyways, because what Tony Robbins did is he was trying to reach his kid too. And so he realized that she liked this artist, this concert that she wanted. So he ended up buying her tickets to this concert for her and a friend. And so of course, when a teenager wants to see a concert, they don't have the money to go do that. So they're like, they have to rely. So he actually bought this concert tickets for a huge artist, but he had a limo pick up her and her friend, drive them to the concert, not telling her. The daughter didn't realize he bought her front row seats.
Wow.
So she goes down with her daughter, and the guy says, "Oh, your seats are here." Oh, and the guy with the usher takes them all the way to the front row. And she's like, "What the heck?" And then Tony Robbins says that his daughter's friend says, "Your dad is the best dad ever," And then, of course, so that impressed the daughter, and, it helped save his relationship. But the thing is that the only reason I say I blew Tony Robbins out the water is because I did something similar, but I didn't get front row seats. But actually, I did. Anyways, it was standing room. But anyways.
This is coin.
Yes. But the reason I say I blew Tony Robbins out the water is because I think it's better, instead of sending your daughter with their friends, go with them. And so the awesome window of opportunity that I saw was my daughter, both of them really liked these indie rock bands, and they're, I remember her getting all excited. And I remember as a parent, I'm fighting to stay into her life, into her world. What are you listening to? I'd listen to the music just to hear what it was like. And I'd put it on while we were driving. Let's put on your music. Do I like it? Not necessarily. Does it matter? No. I'm building a relationship with my kids. You put on, I want to hear what you're listening to. So, anyways, they want to see this artist, Coin and Colony House. Okay. And I remember Cynthia was so excited. Guess what the problem was? Do you remember what the problem was?
The age.
They were underage.
So
they had to be accompanied by somebody 21 years or older. So that was me fighting for my kids. I said, you know what? I'm 21 and older. I'm over 21. So I told him, if you guys really want to go, I'll go with you. It says right here, you need a chaperone. You need someone over 21 to go. Is that a college campus? So, and it was during a school night. It was during a week. It was like a Wednesday night. The concert was, we didn't get out of there till almost midnight. But you know what? I did it. And I went there. I've never heard of this band.
I think they were like 15 and 13.
They were 15, 13, but they were allowed to go as long as an adult was with them. So I'm telling you, I went with them. I felt like, a little out of place because everyone was college age or younger there. And I'm, an adult, but I was there. I'm trying to dress hip, trying to look cool. And you know what? I ended up falling in love with the band. We ended up seeing this band as a family 4 more times after that. And so, but the power of the story is that I made a decision to fight for the relationship with her on her terms. And to this day, we enjoy concerts. I remember the that birthday present we bought her.
Oh,
Coldplay tickets. Yeah. And
that's her dream band.
That's her all-time dream band, and we surprised her. We didn't tell her, and it was just 2 tickets because they were very expensive. But we just bought 2 tickets, just me and her. And I still have a picture of us at that concert, and she is crying. I mean, crying of joy and pleasure. She just cannot believe that she's seen her favorite band, her all-time band is on the stage.
She was crying the way up there.
She cried when we gave her the tickets. She cried on the way up there. She's crying in the concert, and it was a beautiful experience. And you know what? It was those concerts
those
moments that helped me win my daughter back. And now our relationship is stronger than it's ever been. And I'm telling you, thinking back to that day I was crying in my truck, I never could imagine that it could be this good. I didn't think it could ever be this good. So if you, as a parent, feel that hopelessness, that I lost my children, I'm losing my kids, I don't know how I'm ever going to win back. I'm telling you by experience, it can all turn around. It can all change if you're willing to fight for it. And if you're willing to fight for it, get creative is what I'm saying. Maybe, see, for me, Cynthia was that was my avenue. That was a little opportunity, window of opportunity I saw. She didn't come to me. I went to her. I fought for her. I found this window of opportunity. I mean, even with Giselle, when she was a teen, what do you want to do, Giselle? And she's like, wow, I really like photography. I would love to do. So what did we do? I signed up for me and her to go to a photography class, and I didn't really want to do photos. I liked video. I like to do video stuff. Photography, I just never got into. It just wasn't my thing, But did that say, no, I don't want to do that, Giselle. Let's do something different. What do you want to do? I'm like, no. I said, what do you want to do? She said, I want to do photography. Let's go learn photography. Okay. That was my thing. Okay, because it doesn't matter what I want to do. I'm here not for the photography lesson. I'm here to be with my kid. I'm here to build a relationship with my daughter. And to fight for her. So I don't know. I just think that was just those are just the things that I would say, the tips that I would say to.
And I think what's neat is, within, like you said, that year or so, I remember they were still, both of them in high school, and I don't know, some friend had asked what they were going to do over the weekend, right?
Yeah,
what was it? I don't know. They were like, oh, we're going to go do this and we're going to do that. And, we're going to go with my parents. And they're like, with your parents? And then they're like, wow. They didn't say, they're like,
yeah.
That's cool. I wish I liked hanging out with my parents.
Yeah. No, it's funny.
And so it was really neat because the girls were like, oh, they're like, you like hanging out with your parents? And the girls were like, yes, like we, and I thought that was so cute even when they shared that story with us, because it was just really cute, because I like, it was kind of like at that moment we realized like, oh, they do enjoy it. Like sometimes you feel like they're just hanging out with us because we're their parents, what I mean?
Yeah.
But they were still in high school. I think Cynthia was 17, and so that would mean I was about 15, and it was funny that they shared, that, and they were like, yeah, we even have like a family group chat where we send memes to each other, and they're like, you send memes to your parents? Oh my God, that's so cool. And that we send them memes. They thought it was, the coolest thing.
I remember that.
And so I just think that's cute because, there are those rough patches, and you do, have to find a way to stay connected to them, and you don't want to let that gap grow. Don't withdraw. Don't let that gap grow. You want to keep that closeness there because they need you.
Yep.
They need you through that time.
Yep.
And they don't know how to express that without, because they too see the culture, and they're like, oh, we're not supposed to be close to our parents. You know what I mean? Like kids, they see the teenager years as when they rebel, or, and so but deep down inside, they need you. Like for me, I remember, even though I would get mad at my mom, whatever, like for me, we had that relationship. So to me, I knew I needed her. Like she was always there for me, and whatever I was going through. And so I knew the value of that relationship and how beneficial it was to me. And so to me, I was determined to be the same way with my kids.
Yeah.
And, to make sure I did have that relationship, because I could put down those rules and I could put down those boundaries, and we were going to be fine because I built that foundation. And the same thing, I was mirroring what I was taught, or how I grew. I knew, like, I trusted my mom in the end because she was there for me. She proved her love for me. So I knew I could trust her guidance. And, so the same, that was what I was, what do they call it? When you're counting on that, I'm counting on that same thing's going to work,
you sow the seeds, you're going to reap the harvest,
so they're going to understand. And we had, of course you have your moments, your big green moments, your little, silent moments, and those are just human natural moments, they're natural, they're going to happen. But don't take that and withdraw. Take that and move forward and press in and let that relationship grow.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, that's 100%, and that's the biggest key that I think we wanted to really leave you with on this podcast is, yes, the teen years are tough, but it's not a season to withdraw. Mm-hmm. You got to step into it, press into it, fight for that relationship with your teens. It doesn't mean you have to be best friends, whatever, but you need to have a strong relationship with them because they're going through a lot of changes. And guess what? Mm-hmm. God put you in their life to help mold them, to help shape them, to use the wisdom that you received in your life to help them make better decisions even than you. That's the success of a parent, is to see their child succeed. And so that's what we want to leave you with this week on the podcast, to press in whatever way you can, in whatever way they want. Let them call the shots on how your relationship goes or what you do to build that relationship, because that's not important. What's important is that you have a relationship with them, because with all the stuff they're going through, don't you want to be the one in their corner, the voice that can help lead them and help guide them? Now, of course, it's great to have other voices in their life, but no one loves them like you. And they will, if you have a great relationship, they won't love anybody like you either, you know? And so I think it's great to really build that relationship, press into it, do whatever they want to do, whatever they're into. I don't know. Ask your teen what they're into. Find out what your child is into, and because it's their gift, it's their talent that God has given them. God has given the talent. Giselle, she wanted to do photography at 15 years old. And that younger, I took her to that photography class when she was, 14 or 13, however old she was. And now she's done so many professional photography. She's made a full business out of it. It's amazing to see what came out because we supported what they wanted to do, what God put that desire in their heart, and we just breathed on it. We helped it flourish, and we did it through relationship. And so we want to encourage you guys to build that relationship with your kids. Whatever questions you have, reach out to us. I know there's so much to talk about. We're I don't like to make our podcast super, super long. So we just try to wrap it up around this time more or less. So we're going to try to wrap this episode up, even though we could probably go on for 2 more hours because there's so much to talk about. Especially,
but we'll still cover teen issues and other issues, especially when we have some other special guests we want to have on, which we want to cover other topics with. And so I'm sure we're going to go through, different seasons of childhood and stuff. So,
but as far as this episode is concerned, thank you so much for listening. And please build relationship with your children. Fight for them, especially in the teen years, especially when it hurts, especially when they're hurting your feelings and breaking your heart. That's when you go to God, get your heart healed up, and say, okay, God, heal my heart because I'm going in. I'm going in. Here we go. And you go and you fight for your kids. And then if you do that, it'll form a bond that will last a lifetime. And that's a beautiful thing. That's the way God intended it. So we love you guys. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And we hope you have a great week. We hope you are building a great home in your family. And as always, my friends, cheers to your good life. When you living that good life. I'm just living that good life. I'm just living that good life. I'm just living that good life. Good life.